There comes a point, usually sometime after 60, when something shifts inside certain men, not loudly, not dramatically, not in a way anyone can point to. No arguments, no final conversation, no emotional goodbye. Just one day, they're there, present, available, reliable. And then they're gone. No explanation, no closure, just distance. And if you've ever experienced this, or wondered why some older men suddenly disappear from people, relationships, even entire circles, stay with me, because what's really happening here isn't random. It's psychological, it's layered, and it reveals something most people completely misunderstand about identity, dignity, and emotional survival. Let's start by destroying the biggest misconception. When a man over 60 cuts people off, it's not impulsive, it's not immature, and it's rarely driven by bitterness. What you're seeing is the final stage of a process that's been building for decades. By the time a man reaches his 60s, he's seen enough cycles to recognize patterns instantly: marriage, divorce, career pressure, family conflict, emotional neglect, betrayal, loss. And unlike younger men who still believe effort can fix everything, older men reach a point where they stop negotiating with life. They stop explaining, they stop asking, they stop convincing, and instead, they withdraw quietly. One of the deepest reasons behind this: emotional exhaustion. For decades, many men have carried invisible weight: the provider, the fixer, the stabilizer, the emotional shield, always strong, always composed, always dependable, no matter what was happening inside them. And over time, that creates something far heavier than physical tiredness: emotional burnout. By 60, many men feel like they've already given enough chances, enough compromises, enough explanations for one lifetime. So when they walk away, it's not punishment, it's self-preservation. Then comes something even more powerful: the collapse of illusion. Young men believe in fairness, in reciprocity, in if I try harder, things will improve. Older men, they've watched that belief break again and again. So they start noticing things faster: disrespect, manipulation, emotional games. And once the illusion disappears, tolerance drops fast. What looks sudden to others was actually building for years. They just didn't see the warning signs. There's also a quiet identity shift that happens after 60, a powerful one. These men stop defining themselves by roles. They're no longer trying to prove they're a good husband, a good father, a good provider. They start defining themselves by one thing: peace. And peace has strict rules. Anything that disturbs it gets removed. No debates, no drama, no emotional speeches, just distance. For some men, especially those who've experienced divorce or long-term neglect, walking away is about reclaiming control, because for most of their lives, they were controlled by expectations, obligations, guilt, responsibility. But after 60, time feels different, more limited, more valuable, and the idea of spending that time around people who drain them becomes unacceptable. There's another truth most people don't want to hear. Many older men realize they were never truly valued for who they are, only for what they provided: money, stability, solutions, emotional labor. And the moment they stop providing those things, the relationship changes, and they notice immediately. And unlike younger men, they don't argue, they don't beg, they walk away. There's also something deeper: accumulated resentment, because older men don't always express it. They don't explode, they don't vent. They observe, they remember, they keep score internally, silently, for years. And when that emotional account finally hits zero, they're done. And to everyone else, it looks sudden, but to him, it feels like relief. And this is where most people get it wrong. They assume he's depressed, broken, emotionally shut down. But many of these men report something unexpected: calm, less anxiety, less conflict, less emotional noise. For the first time in decades, silence doesn't feel empty. It feels safe. But here's where it gets deeper. That silence evolves. For some men, it becomes strength. They regain clarity, focus returns, distractions disappear. They reconnect with themselves. Hobbies come back, discipline stabilizes, their thoughts become sharper. They stop reacting to life and start living it on their own terms. But there's a second side no one talks about, because humans, even strong men, are wired for connection. And if isolation becomes too extreme, something changes. Emotional range narrows. They become stable but unreachable, calm but closed. And that's where solitude quietly turns into avoidance. Now let's talk about women, because this is where confusion explodes. When an older man withdraws, many women take it personally. They think, what did I do wrong? Why is he punishing me? Why did he shut down? But here's the truth. He's not withdrawing from women. He's withdrawing from chaos, from inconsistency, from emotional games, from instability. And if a woman brings peace, respect, and calm energy, he stays open. But if she brings drama, the door closes. Quietly, permanently, another shift. How older men view conflict. Young men try to fix it. Older men avoid it, not out of weakness, but out of awareness. They understand the cost. Stress, sleep disruption, health decline. So walking away becomes more than emotional. It becomes physical survival. Then there's trust. And this one cuts deep, because when trust is broken later in life, recovery feels slower, time feels shorter. So instead of rebuilding, they withdraw, not out of revenge, but risk management. Some men also disappear because they feel invisible, ignored, dismissed, overlooked. So they stop offering themselves to a world that stopped listening. Silence becomes their response. But here's the paradox. Even after cutting people off, many still want connection, just under very specific conditions. No chaos, no manipulation, no control, just honesty, calm, respect. And if they don't find that, they choose solitude every time. Here's the truth no one says out loud. Older men don't walk away because they stop caring. They walk away because they finally start caring about themselves. But the real question is, what happens next? Do they grow or do they shut down? Because the men who truly evolve don't cut off everyone. They cut off the wrong people and keep the right ones. One or two real connections. That's it. No noise, no chaos, just truth. Because real peace isn't isolation, it's alignment. And the strongest men understand this balance. They protect their peace without closing their hearts. If this hit deeper than expected, then you're starting to see a truth most men never fully understand. Subscribe to Love, Lies, and Reality, because here we don't sugarcoat reality. We break it down to its raw truth. And if you've ever felt that urge to walk away, or you're trying to understand a man who already has, watch the next video on your screen, because what you don't understand about this behavior might be the exact reason it's happening.